Good morning. Welcome to the Amityville Community Resource Center and Liberty Village. We're thrilled to have you all together today to celebrate this milestone. Thank you to all of you for joining us today. As you walked in, I'm moved to see so many community members, the bedrock of this collaboration, and I'd like to acknowledge some of our elected officials and dignitaries. First, Senator Monica Martinez, thank you so much for joining us. Talia Olaya, representing Governor Hochul's office. And Cody Kilroy, representing Marcel Lease, Director of Veteran Service Agency, Suffolk County. Looking around here today, you wouldn't know that this property used to be an active military base back in the 2000s, early 2000s. And I'm sorry, I have to say, also welcome very much Sam Miller, so happy to see you here, former representative from HUD and new board member of the coalition. I remember the first time a group of us visited the center in 2006. I was in awe just at the sheer size of the place. Board members Charlie Russo, Ralph Fasano, and Frank Amalfitano started talking about their vision for the space, and I actually saw it. A central hub for services for veterans and homeless Long Islanders, with a distribution center of essential items and permanent, affordable housing for veterans and their families. Back then, the Long Island Coalition for the Homeless was a small but mighty organization with four employees. Our offices could barely fit 4 desks, let alone donations to give away. Through the tremendous efforts of our board, amazing nonprofit leaders in the areas of housing, veteran services, clinical and community services, and local government and funders who embrace the innovative ideas for the property, as well as a community who decided to trust us and in our vision, we developed a service hub, one that brings incredible nonprofit organizations together so that individuals and families could access critical services and housing that have a tremendous impact on their lives. Concern has built a spectacular housing development for men and women who serve this country, which became the first in many similar projects across Long Island. The distribution center, dubbed the Boutique, has become a significant resource for Long Islanders in need, serving thousands of people each year. We have also built an incredible community garden established by and for the veterans of Liberty Village and the Amityville community. On behalf of our community, I want to thank the Coalition Board for always being visionaries and our thought partners. We are here today because of your dedication. Thank you so much for all you have done and continue to do for this center and for the community. Many thanks also to Town Supervisor Rich Schaefer for sharing our vision and helping make the center in Liberty Village a reality. Thank you to our nonprofit partners whose collaboration makes the center the incredible service hub that it has become. I also want to thank a group of people today that we are indebted to, our program staff and volunteers. You show up every day and bring your skills, experience, and elbow grease. You roll up your sleeves and make this place the vibrant hub hub of activity that we envisioned back in 2006. You shine a light on the human condition, educate your neighbors, and rally our communities. We thank you for your profound contributions to the center and to the coalition. So many of you have been here for years now. You come from all over Long Island, including our veteran volunteers and staff that live in Liberty Village. Thank you for your unwavering service. In closing, I want to share another fact with you. I mentioned earlier that we were 4 employees when the coalition arrived on the scene at the community center. As the convener of the Continuum of Care, our role back then was primarily one of coordination with other organizations. Our staff now has grown to almost 40 employees throughout the last 10 years. We're dedicated, we're diverse, and we would not be able to do and provide the services and programs for underserved community members that we operate today without each of you or the CRC. I want to thank each of you who joined us today for your contributions as well.
Good morning. Thanks for coming out. So I work for a not-for-profit, and I'm not supposed to be political, so I'm going to take the next 5 minutes off. and talk a little bit about politics. You know, I went to a meeting yesterday, and it's a group of, housing providers and housing experts, and about looking to the future about what could happen. And, without choosing sides or anything like that, I'll probably choose sides. Housing like this results when everybody gets behind it. And if the elected officials are not behind it, it doesn't happen. And we've had that experience once, maybe more than once. And so that's why it's so important when you vote. I've listened to a lot of you here today and at other times, and you talk about the importance of this, the importance of doing this. And it's not easy to do, but when your elected officials get behind you, they make it easier. So we celebrated here when first we applied for a competition to see who would develop this. And I don't know if Tom Ronayne is here, but Tom was the chair of the committee, along with some other people. And we came up with the idea, hey, this used to be a military base. My dad actually worked for the Army, and he worked on the Nike missile systems that were here. And I couldn't talk to him about it, unfortunately, because we needed to think, like, do we need to remove these things? Are they going to collapse? And we unearthed one of them, and they were 6 feet of rebar and concrete. They weren't going anywhere, so we left the other 3. But I'm diverting. So we applied for low-income housing tax credits, and we applied for grants from New York State Office of Mental Health. Brian Peterson is here from our regional office. And we got all these grants. But this grant from the state through the Homes and Community Renewal basically had a deadline. It said if you don't break ground in 9 months, we take the grant away. So after we celebrated for a couple of hours, everyone has said, you need to get HUD's approval, the Department of Defense, and even if you do that, you then need to get the town of Babylon. You need to have a zoning change, a site plan approval, a waste approval, and if you're really good, you'll do that in 2 years. And that's when Rich Schaefer stepped up and became part of our team. And he basically said, you tell me the date of your deadline, and it will not be the town of Babylon that prevents this from happening. And true to his word, we got everything we needed from Babylon, and we broke ground within 9 months. So with that, I'd like to ask Rich to come up and say a couple of words, and personally, thank you.
Thank you. Well, I can safely say that I recall the conversation. It was because I don't know if Charlie Russo was here. Where's Charlie? Charlie's a good friend of mine, and Charlie was the first call that came in and said, Rich, we need a rezone done by, I think it was, like 3 months from now. And I was like, oh, okay, Charlie, why don't you come on in? And myself and Tony Martinez, who's here also joining with me, our deputy supervisor and councilman, we looked at each other. Ralph was in, Charlie was in, I think you had your architect in. And I said, all right, we're going to figure out how to make this work. And it was a 9-month deadline. But after we got over kind of the initial shock, Tony and I see Jerry Compitello, our town clerk, joined us. Jerry was my assistant at the time in my office, and the 3 of us heard the vision about what they wanted to do here, and then just watching the video and watching the gentleman say, was it Freddie, I think? Watching what Freddie said, that he's so blessed to be able to have this as his home, and that in his life that's all that matters. And we see that today's society focused on so much about glitz and glamour and who's got $1 million on TikTok and all these things. And the fact that he served his country He gave himself for his country and and our freedoms and democracy, and the fact that that's what his blessing is. He's the richest person in the world because he can live like that, and that's because of Ralph and Concern and all of the people that make this place the place that it is. So for us, it was a no-brainer, and it was literally when I first got back as town supervisor. It was in 2012 and 13 when this was rolling, and of course we're here for the 10-year anniversary, which I can't believe. And Jim Morgo, I see Jim is here. Jim was part of that gang that came in and mobbed us that day. But I can safely say that you couldn't have a better partner than Ralph Fasano and his organization. And I know I can speak for County Executive Romaine, who was the Brookhaven supervisor at the time. Both he and I, and as well as Supervisor Panico, tried to help with the place that didn't want this, but that's their loss. And that is their loss. And I can tell you that if you've got another opportunity here, myself, Tony, Dwayne Gregory, Anthony Mineta, Terry McSweeney, are all ears and ready to help you make sure, because there's 60 units here. We probably need another 1,000 units in order to satisfy the needs and concerns. So would you come up here and accept this, Ralph? Tony and Jerry, would you join? So this proclamation's been issued in recognition of the 10th anniversary, but most importantly, it's issued in recognition of the love, the respect, and the dignity that you've shown to all of the individuals who've lived here in the past, who continue to live here, and all those that you're going to serve in the future. You are truly a remarkable individual, and I'm proud to call you a colleague and a friend. Thank you.
So I'm going to divert from the program now and pitch our next proposal based on what you said. So once again, back to electing the people who believe in things like this. And Senator Martinez has been out for our groundbreakings, and also with the coalition has gone out seeking homeless people and seeking what we can do to help them. And that's the kind of person that we really treasure as an elected official. So with that, Senator Martinez.
Good afternoon, everyone. After that video, what the Liberty Village and the Resource Center really has done for our veterans. And before I continue, I want to say thank you to our veterans for their service and their commitment to the rights that we as Americans today should cherish. And we should not take those for granted, because many have lost their lives and continue to face hardship. And it is our responsibility as elected officials, as community organizations, to find ways to assist, just as they found ways to assist us, where we can be free today, the home of the free, the land of the brave, because of the sacrifices of these veterans. So those veterans who are here and their families, thank you for your service. To the community organizations, and yes, I do not know how certain individuals live in such cold temperatures, in such hot temperatures. I remember going out, thank you, Ralph, for saying that, with the coalition. I was the county legislator at that time, representing the hamlets of Brentwood and Central Islip and North Bayshore. And I remember there was right by the train station, people had developed tents, and they were living there. And I reached out to the coalition, and they asked me, do you want to see how these people are living? And I said, yes, I do. And I remember, I usually don't, I always wear heels and that day they said to me, just come prepared for the weather. And even with double socks and boots, I was freezing. And I remember going under locked fences and going literally under and over to see how these individuals were living. And I was out there for about maybe an hour before I had to go back to the legislature. And I vowed to find a way to help these individuals because no one should not have a home. No one should not have a roof over their head. No one should be food insecure. And no one, specifically our veterans, should not be without a home. So I will continue my efforts to not only bring funding to organizations such as Concerned and the Homeless Coalition, and we have representation from the governor's office here, and I know that the governor is committed to housing. She is committed to increasing housing and increasing affordable housing, which is a very important word. But even the word affordable needs to be further defined. And we need to really focus on what affordability really means in the state of New York. But I too would like to present you with a proclamation on behalf of my colleagues for celebrating 10 years of commitment, dedication, not just to our veterans, but the entire homeless population. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to wrap up today's proceedings, but I just want to thank a bunch of other people. So it takes a lot to put something like this together, and I mentioned some of the funding things and the getting approvals. Somebody needs to design a place like this, and I see Ken Church. Can you stand up? Ken Church is from Delacroix Church in Ferrara. They designed this place, and I think they did a beautiful job. The contractors are here, Mega, George Poulin, Hercules Arjula. A really terrific team to work with. They're sitting next to Alex, our owner's rep, who gives contractors a hard time, but in our interest. Just the staff here, 10 years later, you wonder how something like this is going to go. And the leadership that has been here and the staff have just been amazing. I want to recognize Megan Yost, who's the director of Liberty Village. And she and her staff also run a VASH program where 70 formerly homeless veterans receive VASH vouchers. We find them housing, we make sure they stay in the housing, and I'm told by the VA and everyone else that Megan and the Concerned staff do a job like nobody else. And thank you, Megan, you've made us proud. Thanks to David Leone for always doing tours. Where are you, David? We love you. So, just a couple of, we really believe in our associations and coalitions. We believe that that's how things get done. So Pascal Leone is here, is from the Supportive Housing Network. Eric Alexander, Vision Long Island. And I want to acknowledge the Sisters of St. Joseph. Sister Tisa is here and Sister Elizabeth. We signed a contract this week to do about 170 units of housing, and what a beautiful relationship we have developed. Normally when you do things like this, you deal with real estate people, and real estate people can be different than nuns. They are tough, but in a mission-oriented way. And so that's what we have really appreciated there. So with that, I think we conclude. We have wonderful food from Mama Lombardi's, and so we hope you stick around and feel free to go on a tour and talk to others. And if I missed you, I apologize. I'll do it next time. Thank you.